maybe going back to Bell Labs, tell us more about your time there.
It was essentially the best environment I can think of. My colleagues were wonderful. It was so stimulating. I mean, you came over to visit a few times with David Gay and me, and it was a lot of fun. And I would tell people about it, and they'd say, "It doesn't sound like you're working very hard. It sounds like you're just having a good time." And I'd say, "Well, I am having a good time, but I'm working very hard." And you know, sometimes thinking about the way the world has gone since then, it's considered a loss by many people that there are no labs like that which are basically devoted to research. The problem is that when AT&T was a monopoly, every phone call anyone made in the whole US, part of it supported Bell Labs. And the monopoly made plenty of money. Even after the breakup of AT&T in the early 80s, it was still, you know, they could still afford to do it. But I think since then, we know companies have become lean and mean and small, and they don't want to spend the money on people doing research that may not lead anywhere. If something's research and it's going to lead somewhere, in some sense it's not real research because you know what's going to do. But I think that things were gradually changing then, and I think it's sad that you can't do that anymore. Recently, there was an event at Bell Labs honoring Dennis Ritchie, who had co-invented Unix and C, and he died last year. And it was a series of talks by people about what he had done and his world and how it had changed the world. And a big message was, it's not like this now. It's not like this now. And I don't know if there's any going back to it. Same with the NPL, by the way, in England. When I went there and you were there, it was pretty much free and open. People could work on what they wanted to. They got lots done, but they weren't producing a profit. They weren't producing revenue. They weren't doing these other things.
Well, do you think it might be like that now in different places, say Microsoft Research or Google?
It might be, but I've heard that it's not really the same. I don't know enough about them to know. Certainly among my colleagues from Bell Labs, we all talk about Bell Labs nostalgia and how we get together and talk about it, and then someone will say, I think we're being unrealistic. It wasn't really that great. And the rest of us will say, yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Well, so eventually you became the head of the scientific computing department or division,
right.
Or?
In research at Bell Labs, the departments were very small, maybe 6 or 7 people. I was asked if I would consider being the department head. I didn't really want to do that. I didn't really want to be in management.
Was that because Bill Courant left?
Bill Courant was being promoted.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't really want to do it. However, Bill, the world's greatest scientific manager, said to me, if you will try it for 3 years and you don't want to continue, that's fine. But I think it would be good if you did it, etc. So I said, all right, I'll do it. And I did it for 3 years, and it was okay, but dealing with people is hard. You know, dealing with people is hard.
Well, you had much bigger challenges in that direction a little later, I think.
Yes, well, that's right.
So then we came calling.
Yes, then Dave McLaughlin phoned me and said, would I be interested in being chair of computer science at Courant? And I said, I don't want to be chair. I don't want to be chair.
I don't know if you know the background on that. Dave and Marcia Berger and I were sitting in his office trying to think, who can we recruit to be department chair?
Okay.
And I said, well, what about Margaret Wright? No, of course she won't be interested. And I was all ready to move on. And Marcia said, wait a minute, that's a good idea. And then we started talking about it, and then Dave called you. And so then what? So then you said no, and he said yes, and then what happened?
Well, you know, it's one of those things where it's hard afterwards to analyze. So I didn't want to be chair because there was a case history where someone else had gone on from Bell Labs to be department chair, and it didn't work out very well. Because, I mean, even though I didn't have a lot of power as a department head at Bell Labs, I could still technically fire people. And it was clear often that the way they reacted to me was based on the fact that, you know, I had some control over their life. When you're an academic chair, you don't have a control over people's lives. You can say, would you do this? And I'll just say, no, I'm not going to do it. You know that because you're chair now. So it was different. And so this had happened to this other person. And so I thought I didn't want to do it. But Dave is a great persuader, Dave McLaughlin. He said, I don't think you should be so quick to be dismissive. He said, why don't you just come in and visit and see what it's like, and we'll talk to you, and so on and so forth. And I was getting worried at that time about what was happening at Bell Labs because it was changing. It had become lucent. We were more focused on working with the businesses on specific projects.
This was in 2000.
2000, 2001. And I was a little nervous about what was happening, as were many people. And I thought, well, it's just a few miles away. Why don't I go in? I have friends there. And I went in, and I thought it was great, and I loved it. And the Courant Institute is so famous, and you were there, and Marcia was there, other people were there.
Peter Lax, Kathleen Morowitz.
And things were not going well at Bell Labs. So the atmosphere was changing. So I thought, maybe I should do this. And I did.
And we were very grateful.